You begin the night by imagining silence, the kind that comes not from absence, but from age. The kind of silence that hums beneath the soles of your feet, where the earth holds its breath. Beneath you, the ground feels still, but it is not still at all. Beneath every step, something is shifting, whispering, remembering. You feel it first as a hum, soft, low, almost imperceptible, like the memory of thunder carried in the soil. You close your eyes and listen. In that hum are stories older than oceans, older than trees, older even than the air itself. It is the whisper of the stones, the voice of Earth's hidden memory. Every rock you've ever stepped on carries the signature of time. Inside each one are frozen waves of heat, pressure, and creation records of mountains that rose and crumbled, seas that vanished, and stars that once showered dust upon this planet. The stones do not speak in words. They speak in patience. You are walking across an ancient conversation. Imagine bending down, picking up a pebble. It is small, cool against your skin, shaped by countless years of friction, water, and quiet collision. That single stone might have once been part of a mountain, buried deep in magma, or pressed beneath the feet of creatures long gone. It may have drifted through rivers, carried by glaciers, polished by the wind. Now, here it rests, still, silent, and waiting. You are holding history, the earth beneath. You was once molten, a sea of liquid fire, swirling in cosmic darkness. Over billions of years, it cooled and cracked, forming the crust that became our continents. But this crust is not static. It moves, breathes, trembles. Beneath its calm face lies a restless world of shifting plates, colliding continents, and rising magma. It is a planet that has never stopped making itself. When you walk upon the ground, you are walking upon movement slowed into stillness. The continents themselves drift slowly, a few centimeters each year, yet over eons they carve out the map of life. Beneath the stones lies the pulse of plate tectonics, slow, deep, and eternal. You take a slow breath. The air tastes faintly of dust and rain, the same elements that have cycled through time since the Earth's dawn. You exhale, and for a moment, you imagine that your breath joins the invisible stream that has passed through mountains and oceans, through volcanoes and forests. You are breathing ancient air, recycled through billions of lives. Everything connects. Everything circles back. Now, picture the deep earth beneath you. Layers upon layers descend, crust, mantle, molten core. Temperatures rise, pressures multiply, and minerals twist into new forms. Down there, atoms move sluggishly, rearranging over centuries into crystals and stones. Each mineral is a frozen moment of transformation, a pause in the great, slow breathing of the planet. Granite, basalt, obsidian, each with its own story, fire, water, pressure, stillness. When you lie down tonight, imagine sinking slowly into the soil, not falling, not rushing, just drifting downward, like a leaf settling in water. The deeper you go, the warmer it gets. The stones begin to glow softly, like embers in sleep. You see bands of color, rust red, ash gray, molten gold, the palette of Earth's bones. Down here, you begin to hear it, the deep murmur of time. It's not sound as you know it, not vibration through air, but the memory of energy passing through matter. Each atom remembers the forces that shaped it, the heat, the compression, the slow cyclical rhythm of creation and decay. The earth has its own heartbeat, though it beats in ages, not seconds, You realize that this heartbeat and your own are not so different. Your pulse, too, is a rhythm, electrical waves flowing through muscle and tissue, a tiny echo of planetary energy. Your body was built from these stones. Calcium in your bones, iron in your blood, oxygen in your lungs, all once forged inside stars, buried in rock and lifted again through time. You are not just standing on the earth. You are made of it. You are the planet, remembering itself. The wind outside whispers against your window. You imagine it brushing through the canyons, across deserts, over old riverbeds. That same wind has passed over the ruins of ancient temples, through forests that no longer stand, across fossils sleeping beneath the sand. The earth is not silent. It hums softly, continuously, patiently, the low murmur of being, and sometimes, if you are very still, you can hear it, the hum of tectonic plates rubbing against each other, inaudible to the ear, but felt in the bones of the world. The subtle vibration of magma rising beneath volcanic fields. The deep, slow movement of mountains being borne or swallowed back into the mantle. The surface of the world feels solid, but it is a dream. Beneath it, everything flows. You imagine tracing the outlines of ancient continents, the way Africa once fit into South America, like puzzle pieces long separated. You picture the slow drift of land across eons, and in that slowness, you find comfort. The world changes, but never in haste. It evolves like a sleeper, turning gently in bed, each motion quiet, purposeful, unhurried. Your own life, too, is part of this rhythm, the worries you hold, the noise of the day, the thoughts that press against your mind, they begin to quiet. You are reminded that time is vast, and you are a brief, beautiful moment within it. Every breath, every blink, every heartbeat is a small vibration in the great, slow music of the planet. You feel your muscles soften, your shoulders release. You lie back on your imaginary ground, eyes closed, as if resting upon the very crust of the earth. You can almost feel the gentle motion beneath you, not enough to disturb, only enough to remind you that life is never still. The stones are alive in their own language of patience. In ancient times, people believed the earth itself was conscious, that mountains could listen, rivers could remember, stones could dream, and perhaps, in a way, they can. For every rock is a witness to storms, to sunlight, to the endless turning of time. If you could translate the language of stone, what would it say? Perhaps it would tell you that nothing truly ends, that even the hardest granite wears away into sand, and even sand becomes stone again, that every fall becomes a foundation, every collapse a rebirth. You listen to this quiet truth, feeling it settle into your chest like a slow tide. The ancient hum deepens. The ground beneath you feels like a heartbeat, slow, steady, eternal. You can almost imagine yourself becoming lighter, as if the stones beneath are breathing you in, accepting you into the rhythm of their endless patience. You are no longer apart from the earth. You are within it, part of its quiet dream. The whisper grows softer now, fading into the rhythm of your breath. The night holds you like the soil holds the seed, warm, hidden, safe. Around you, the world continues its silent conversation, its slow rearranging of matter and memory. And in that silence, you begin to drift. You see images in your mind, mountains rising, oceans forming, continents drifting. The world grows, breaks, heals, and grows again. Creation is never loud. It is the sound of patience. It is the music of time moving through silence. As your consciousness softens, a thought rises, gentle, unhurried, almost luminous. If the earth remembers everything that has ever touched it, then it remembers you, too. You are part of its memory now, your breath mingled with its air, your body built from its minerals, your heartbeat synchronized with its ancient rhythm. And when you rest, the planet rests with you. The stones beneath you whisper once more, not in words, but in feeling. A calm assurance that everything changes, yet everything remains. You are home, they say. You have always been Dot. And as you drift deeper into rest, the whisper fades, blending with the rhythm of your breath, the hum of the earth, and the gentle question that will lead you into the next chapter. What else does the planet remember, hidden in the darkness, waiting to be heard again? The night has settled like soft ash over an ancient desert. You walk slowly through the ruins, where wind curls around broken pillars like breath moving through the ribs of time. Each step feels muffled, your body moving lightly over the sand that has swallowed centuries. Somewhere beyond the horizon, stars burn above temples that no longer stand, their patterns still marking the same constellations ancient builders once traced with their eyes. You pause before a stone face carved, long ago a god, or perhaps a guardian, its expression worn smooth by wind. Its eyes no longer see, yet you feel it watching still. A hush surrounds you, not emptiness, but presence, the kind of silence that holds voices within it, waiting for someone to listen. You run your hand along the wall, fingertips finding tiny ridges, etched symbols whose meanings were lost to time. Archaeologists once tried to decode these markings, mapping each line. Each figure they brought lights, cameras, measuring tools, but the air between stones carried something instruments couldn't record. It was as if the ruins themselves were breathing slowly, deeply the exhale of memory. Your mind drifts to a question older than any temple. How much does the earth remember? Scientists tell us that everything leaves an imprint. Even the faintest pressure leaves molecules rearranged. Particles align differently than before. When wind brushes over stone for 1,000 years, it writes in its own language, not letters. But erosion, every groove, every crumble, is a sentence written by nature's patient hand. You realize these ruins aren't dead. They're alive in the quiet way. Coral reefs are alive through time, through interaction, through being part of everything around them. Somewhere beneath your feet, sensors once detected heat, faint, pulsing, rhythmic, like the heartbeat of something buried deep. Geologists explained it as shifting groundwater or the thermal breath of the earth. Yet even they spoke softly around it, because standing here, the distinction between science and spirit begins to fade. Both seek to understand what breathes through this place. You imagine the people who once built these walls, their hands pressing clay, lifting stone, carving the symbols you now trace. They were dreamers to stargazers and storytellers. People who built not only homes, but meaning. They looked at the stars and believed that the heavens curved toward them, that the earth itself rose to meet their wonder. Science tells us that human civilization began building monuments, not for gods, but for memory, to make time visible. Yet, perhaps there was something else, an instinct to align with the unseen, the way temples face sunrise or solstice, the way sound echoes perfectly in ancient amphitheaters. It wasn't chance, it was design, guided by intuition, or perhaps communication. You walk deeper into the ruins, the air thick with the scent of dust and age. Between the columns, fragments of walls lean like old thoughts half forgotten. You sit beside one, feeling its cool surface against your skin. The stone seems to hum faintly, as if the world's oldest lullaby lives inside it. You close your eyes and listen in the darkness behind your eyelids. The story begins to shift. The ruins dissolve, and you see them as they once were, shining in the sun, filled with the laughter of children and the rhythm of workers chiseling, singing, living. Life hums here again. You can almost smell the fires, hear the clinking of bronze tools. The language that once filled the air like birdsong, it feels like remembering, a dream you didn't know was yours. Then the vision fades, and you're back in the present, sitting beside a wall that's seen more centuries than your mind can count. You realize time isn't a line, but at tide it rises, recedes, and returns, carrying echoes on its surface. The ruins breathe because time breathes through them. Scientists, studying ancient acoustics, discovered something strange. In some temples, sounds seem to sustain longer than expected. Even in open-air chants and hums stretch into seconds, as if the architecture itself amplifies emotion. The frequencies align with the human heart rate, calming the body, lowering stress, like an ancient form of meditation. You smile softly, imagining that perhaps these builders knew something our modern world forgot. That sound could heal, that stone could sing. Your own breathing begins to match the rhythm of that unseen music. Inhale the desert, exhales warmth. Exhale the stars. Lean closer. You feel your pulse slow, your body softening into the night's embrace. The ruins around you are no longer ruins. They are lungs, vast, stony lungs that breathe the memory of human hands and dreams. And in that breath, there's connection to those who came before, and those yet to come. You think of all the mysteries buried in ancient sites across the world. The pyramids, Machu Picchu, He, Bekli Tepe, Teotihuacan structures, aligned with stars, built with precision beyond their known tools. How did they lift stones that weighed more than 100 men? How did they carve tunnels so precise that light passes through them on only one day each year? Science offers theories, pulleys, manpower, clever mathematics, but sometimes even scientists admit to awe, because awe itself is a form of knowing. A soft wind passes, and the air shifts. You hear it, a whisper, or maybe just the sigh of sand, but the whisper carries a tone of memory, a low hum that feels like belonging. Perhaps that's what ancient people built for, not to dominate time, but to merge with it. Your gaze drifts upward again. The stars shimmer faintly, their light traveling millions of years to touch the dust before you. You think, the starlight I see now might have first fallen on these same stones when they were still new. Light, the one messenger that never forgets. Scientists say photons never age. The light that left a distant star before humanity existed still travels, unchanged, across galaxies when it reaches your eyes. You're seeing both past and present at once. Time folds quietly within that glow, and in that fold, maybe, lies the truth of all mysteries, not lost, just layered. You lie down on the warm sand, letting the stars become your ceiling. The ruins loom gently around you like watchful guardians. You close your eyes again and listen, this time, not for voices, but for patterns. Your heartbeat syncs with the earth's low rhythm. Each inhale pulls the desert in. Each exhale releases it. You are no longer visiting the ruins. You are part of them. There's a phrase used by some archaeologists, the archaeology of silence. It means studying what cannot be seen, the gaps, the spaces, the absences that tell their own stories. You realize your own mind is a similar landscape. Memories half buried, ideas unspoken, instincts older than thought. The more you listen, the more they rise. Science can measure the carbon of the stone, the age of the dust, the alignment of the walls, but it cannot measure the feeling that lingers when you stand where someone once prayed, or sang, or dreamed. That feeling is timeless. It belongs to the same current that moves galaxies and cells alike. The quiet hum of continuity, and maybe that's the real breath of ruins. Not ghosts or gods, but the persistence of wonder. The way the human mind, across millennia, keeps asking the same questions. Who are we? Why are we here? What came before? The ruins do not answer, they only listen. And in their stillness, they remind you that not every mystery is meant to be solved. Some are meant to be felt. You drift further into that feeling, a meditative calm that seeps through your bones. Your thoughts begin to slow, dissolving like sand caught in a breeze. The night deepens. The stars blur softly, as if even light has begun to rest. And as your consciousness slides toward the edges of sleep, one last thought lingers. If the ruins still breathe, then maybe the past never truly ends. It simply changes form, waiting quietly beneath the dust, whispering to whoever will listen next. The air has changed. You feel it before you hear it. A slow, deep tremor that seems to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. The wind moves differently tonight, swirling low to the sand, carrying with it the scent of stone, salt, and distance. You open your eyes and see the ruins receding into mist, dissolving like thoughts at the edge of waking. The stars above remain, but they seem softer now, less like points of fire, more like breathing lights suspended in the deep. The ground beneath you hums, not a sound exactly, but a sensation like the pulse of a great creature sleeping far below the surface. You press your hand to the earth, and for a moment you can almost feel it, the slow, steady heartbeat of the planet itself. It feels ancient, patient, alive. Geologists call this the seismic whisper, vibrations that ripple through the crust of the earth every moment of every day. Most are too faint to feel, but they are always there, like the soft murmur of a sleeping mind. Some are caused by tides pulling on countenance, some by distant storms, and some by the movement of molten rock deep within. Every vibration tells a story, and if you could listen long enough, the planet would sing to you in a language older than words. You close your eyes again. The hum deepens, forming a slow rhythm, not a threat, but a lullaby. It's as if the earth itself is breathing beneath you, expanding and contracting in a vast, patient rhythm. You match it without trying. Inhale, exhale. The line between your body and the planet begins to blur. There's a theory in physics, resonance. When two systems vibrate at the same frequency, they begin to amplify one another. A singer's voice can shatter glass. If the note matches perfectly, a bridge can sway if wind aligns with its rhythm. And perhaps, just perhaps, your own heartbeat can find harmony with the planet beneath you in this moment. It feels true, Your chest rises and falls with the ground's silent breath. Your heartbeat slows, and somewhere in that stillness, you feel connected, not as a visitor on Earth, but as part of its rhythm. Scientists have long tried to measure this planetary pulse. They've found that the Earth vibrates roughly once every 54 minutes, an almost imperceptible oscillation that ripples across oceans and continents. They call it the Earth's hum. No earthquakes, no explosions, just the gentle shiver of a living world, keeping time with itself. You imagine the entire planet swaying ever so slightly, as if dreaming. It's comforting, this idea that even the ground beneath you has its own heartbeat, that nothing in creation is truly still. The ancients might have known this in another way. Before seismographs and sensors, they listened with their feet, with their bones, with instinct. They felt tremors as omens, vibrations as messages. They built temples on fault lines and sacred wells where the Earth's energy felt strongest. They didn't measure, they felt, and in feeling, they were perhaps closer to understanding. You can almost picture it, a priest in a white robe kneeling beside a stone altar, pressing his ear to the ground, listening to what the gods were saying. And maybe what he heard was not gods at all, but the same quiet hum you hear now. You open your eyes and see faint light rippling under the sand, like bioluminescent waves, only slower, deeper. You reach out, brushing your fingers against the surface, and for a heartbeat, the light pulses back. It's as if the planet is responding, a communication of rhythm, pulse to pulse. It reminds you that life itself began in vibration, before words, before movement. There was rhythm, the oscillation of energy that formed atoms, molecules, and finally, breath. The same rhythm that shaped galaxies still moves in the tiny beating of your cells, in every muscle twitch, in every sleeping sigh. The universe continues its pattern. You begin to drift again, not walking this time, but floating, as if gravity itself has softened. The ruins are far behind, replaced by open desert, dunes shimmering like water, and below, you sense vast rivers of molten rock slowly shifting, glowing red beneath the crust. Each movement takes centuries, yet to the earth, it is merely a breath. Science calls this slow dance plate tectonics, the motion of continents gliding atop the molten mantle. Over millions of years, they drift, collide, rise, and sink. Mountains grow like waves frozen in time. Oceans open like gentle sighs. This is the rhythm of creation, slow, immense, and constant. You imagine continents moving beneath your dreams. What feels eternal to you is only a moment to the planet. And maybe that's why being here now feels so calming, because you are resting on something that understands. Patience on a cosmic scale. You feel warmth radiating through the ground, a deep, steady energy rising through your spine. It's not heat, but something subtler. The quiet reassurance that comes from knowing you belong to this rhythm. You are made of the same elements that move beneath you: carbon, calcium, iron, stardust. Every breath you take was once part of a star's flame. Every beat of your heart is an echo of the universe's first pulse. The wind brushes against your face, carrying grains of sand that glimmer faintly in the moonlight. You notice something. The dunes are shaped in waves, just like sound itself. Science calls them Aeolian patterns, formed by the vibration of air. The desert sings, though you cannot hear it directly, but you can feel its music in your chest, your breath, your bones, and suddenly you realize something simple and profound. Everything that exists is rhythm. The motion of planets, the swing of tides, the flicker of thought, the rise and fall of sleep, all follow cycles. Everything breathes. You remember the ruins, their silent chant of stone and time. You remember how sounds stretched in their halls, echoing the same pulse you feel now. Perhaps the ancients knew the earth is not a place, but a song, and to live upon it is to be a note in its melody. The hum grows deeper, and for a moment the desert around you begins to move, dunes flowing like slow water, rippling with light. It's not frightening, just immense. You float above the surface, watching the earth's heartbeat spread in waves across continents and oceans, connecting everything: forests, mountains, rivers, cities all rising and falling with the same invisible breath, even sleeping humans, even you. The sound fades, leaving only a soft vibration, like the purr of the universe, settling back into quiet. You feel the weight of your body again, the gentle pull of gravity returning. Your eyes drift open, and you find yourself lying once more under the stars. The desert is calm, but you know now that even calmness moves. You take a slow breath, inhale. The earth breathes with you. Exhale, the stars shimmer in response. Somewhere far away, waves crash against unseen shores. Somewhere deep within, magma flows like blood through veins of stone. And above, the moon glows, its own rhythm tugging at oceans and dreams alike. You smile faintly, realizing that the planet never sleeps. It only changes tempo, and maybe sleep itself. Your sleep is not an escape, but a joining, a way of aligning with that deeper rhythm, syncing your small heartbeat to the ancient pulse beneath you. As your eyelids grow heavy, one last thought drifts through your mind. What if every dream is the earth's way of remembering itself through you? You wake not to the sound of your own breath, but to the hush of water against stone. The desert has faded, replaced by a gentle, endless horizon. The air tastes different now, cool, salted, alive. The sky above still glows in soft indigo, yet the stars seem closer, their light bending upon the surface of the sea. You are standing at the edge of an ocean that glows faintly in the moonlight. Each wave curls and releases with a slow, deliberate rhythm, as though the planet itself is breathing through water now. You kneel, touch the surface, and the ripples expand outward, forming rings of soft silver light. For a moment, you watch your reflection blur, dissolve, reform, as if the sea is deciding which version of you to remember. The ocean remembers everything. Every drop has been somewhere else before, in the clouds, in the blood of whales, in the frozen tears of comets. Every molecule has touched both life and fire. This water has washed the feet of ancient creatures, hidden cities, and mountain peaks that no longer exist. It carries the memory of beginnings. Scientists say that all life on Earth began here, in the quiet shallows of ancient seas. 4 billion years ago, simple molecules met, bonded, split, and began the long, impossible story that would one day become you. And now, as you listen to the rhythm of waves, you realize you are hearing your own origin echoed back. Each sound soft, repetitive, eternal, feels like the pulse of creation itself. You close your eyes, and the world becomes nothing but motion and sound. The crash, the pause, the return. The crash, the pause, the return. The same rhythm as breath, as heartbeats, as sleep. The sea is the world's oldest lullaby. You walk into the water slowly, feeling it rise around your ankles, your knees, your chest. The temperature is perfect. Cool, but not cold, like memory itself. The surface glows faintly where it touches you, tracing the outline of your body in blue light. It's as though the sea is reading you, mapping your shape into its endless memory. There's something magnetic about the ocean, a pull that goes beyond gravity. It draws you not outward, but inward, as though every wave folds toward the same hidden center. And in that center lies something ancient, silence that isn't empty, but full of movement, potential, and time. Underwater, time doesn't move the same way. Sound travels faster, light bends differently, and moments stretch thin. You open your eyes beneath the surface, and everything shimmers, not solid, not still, but beautifully uncertain. Schools of translucent fish drift like thoughts through a dream. Bubbles rise in spirals, each reflecting tiny moons. Even your heartbeat seems slower here, syncing with the world's rhythm. Marine scientists call this synchronization entrainment. It's when two rhythms, living or mechanical, begin to move together over time. The ocean entrains everything that enters it, even you. Your breath, your pulse, your drifting thoughts, all gradually align to its slow and patient cadence, and so you float, weightless, soundless, thoughtless. You are suspended between surface and depth, between sky and stone. Here, the sea speaks not in words, but in sensations, tiny fluctuations in pressure, temperature, flow. It's a language you don't consciously understand, but your body remembers it, because your body too was born of water. You think of how every cell inside you still carries salt. Every heartbeat still echoes the rhythm of tides. Inside your blood, sodium and chloride ions flow just as they did in the ancient ocean that first birthed life. In a way, you've never really left the sea. You've simply carried it with you. You drift deeper, light fading softly into gradients of blue. The deeper you go, the quieter the world becomes. Down here, sound feels like touch, gentle, resonant, slow. Whale songs vibrate through the water, deep and melancholic, crossing oceans without ever fading. You realize that these songs are maps, acoustic constellations, guiding life across invisible highways. Whales navigate through echoes, remembering roots generations old, proving that the ocean does not forget, and neither do you. Somewhere in your memory, maybe beyond memory, you recall the comfort of floating, of being surrounded, of existing without edges. Perhaps it's the memory of the womb. Perhaps it's the memory of the sea itself, the first cradle of all life. You reach a depth where sunlight becomes a whisper. Particles drift past like slow snow. They are not lifeless. They are remnants of the surface world, carried downward in a slow, elegant fall called marine snow. Tiny shells, plankton, fragments of memory, all descending gently to feed the darkness below. Even in death, the sea recycles everything into something new. You drift among the particles, each glimmering softly like a thought released from a dream. It reminds you of neurons, tiny sparks connecting, transmitting, remembering. The ocean, you realize, is not unlike a mind. Its currents are synapses, its tides, emotions, its storms, thoughts too large to contain. And like the mind, it forgets nothing. It only transforms memory into motion. Some scientists describe the ocean as a biochemical archive. a record of the planet's history written in waves, sediments, and salt. In every droplet lies the imprint of ancient air, volcanic ash, cosmic dust. To study it is to read the diary of Earth itself. But here, floating in its arms, you don't need to analyze it. You only need to listen. Above, faint light ripples down, a slow heartbeat of silver through blue. It's as if the moon and the ocean are whispering to one another. You realize how they are linked. The moon's gravity shaping every wave, every tide, every rhythm of sleep. Even your own body, mostly water, answers that lunar call. No wonder your dreams deepen when the moon is full, as you drift. A sense of vast intelligence surrounds you, not conscious like thought, but aware like breath. Every current moves with purpose. Every swirl of plankton seems guided by an invisible will. This is not chaos, this is choreography. An endless dance of energy, matter, and memory, choreographed by the laws of physics and time. You feel your mind quieting again, not empty, but clear, like a tide drawing back, revealing the truth beneath. You are not separate from this world. You are a continuation of it. Your mind is an eddy in the great current of consciousness that flows through everything. When you finally rise back toward the surface, the water glows brighter. It shimmers like liquid starlight, as though all the constellations have fallen into rest. Your head breaks the surface with a gentle breath, and the sound of waves becomes soft applause. The moon is larger now, its reflection stretched like silk across the water. You lie on your back, floating, staring upward. The sea cradles you like a hand that has always known you. You think of every human who has ever stood at a shoreline, watching waves move in and out, sensing without knowing why that something infinite lies beyond them. And you understand, they were listening to the same lullaby. The ocean's memory stretches beyond time. It has heard the first heartbeat of life and the last sigh of extinct creatures. It carries within it the stories of beginnings and endings, yet it remains unchanged, patient, reflective, eternal. You whisper to it, not in words but in feeling, and it seems to whisper back. Rest, it says. Everything returns. You drift for a while longer, lulled by the rhythm that connects stars, tides, and sleep. Each wave feels like an inhale, each trough an exhale. You are breathing with the universe again, and as you close your eyes, the boundary between water and sky fades completely. You are floating through both then. Far below, a faint glow catches your eye, deep, pulsing, rhythmic. It's not light from the surface, but something from within the earth itself, seeping upward through the sea floor. Hydrothermal vents, glowing fountains of mineral-rich heat, rising from the crust like the breath of the planet. Here, at the bottom of the ocean, life first awakened. Here, heat and chemistry met in perfect balance, and creation began. You watch the light flicker, slow and golden, and it feels like déjà vu, as if you've seen this moment in another life. You realize it's not a new story at all, but an echo of the same one written in your cells. Life began in warmth, in darkness, in rhythm. And now, as you drift closer to sleep, you return to that beginning. The light fades, the waves slow, the ocean hushes. You are held in memory, ancient, infinite, kind, asterisk. You awaken to stillness, a stillness that hums. Your body feels weightless, as though the sea beneath you has exhaled, releasing you into something softer. Around you, the world glows, faintly, blue bleeding into silver. Mist curls against your skin, warm where it touches. cool where it drifts away. You are not falling, not flying, simply suspended, rising with the breath of the world. Below, the ocean folds into darkness. Above, the atmosphere stretches in endless gradients of pale blue. You are moving upward through invisible tides, air currents that sway and spiral like liquid wind. Each breath you take feels ancient, shared, cyclical. You realize the air you breathe has been inside everything that has ever lived. The air has touched the lungs of whales, the leaves of rainforests, the feathers of birds gliding above mountains. It carries atoms that once shimmered in a comet's tail, drifted across deserts, or spun in the storms of Jupiter. When you breathe, you are breathing time itself, recycled, renewed, eternal. You close your eyes and listen. At first, there is only silence. Then you begin to hear the low murmur of the sky, wind, distant and steady, weaving between layers of cloud. Each current has a different voice. Some whisper through the lower air, others hum high and cold in the stratosphere. Together, they form a vast orchestra, a planet breathing in harmony. You drift higher, where the mist thins into clarity. Clouds below look like sleeping mountains of vapor. Their tops glow softly from sunlight bending across the horizon. The air is thinner now, cooler, cleaner, and every inhalation feels like a thread connecting you to the space between worlds. Meteorologists call this vertical movement of air convection. But in this moment, it feels less like science and more like song. Warm air rises, cool air sinks, an endless rhythm that circulates energy across the globe. It's how weather is born, how heat becomes movement, and how stillness turns to storm. The sky, you realize, is alive with balance, a conversation between opposites. You think about how fragile this balance is. Just a few degrees of warmth, and clouds change their shape, winds alter their course. Yet somehow the system holds. It adjusts, flows, breathes, not perfectly, but gracefully. The planet, too, is learning to exhale. As you rise, you pass through a layer of wispy cirrus clouds, delicate as dreams. Each one refracts light into faint halos, scattering colors you can't name shades between silver and thought. Particles of ice glitter around you, catching sunlight like tiny mirrors. For a moment, you see yourself reflected in thousands of fragments, your shape diffused, multiplied, infinite. You understand what physicists mean when they say that particles never truly vanish, they transform. Exchange continue. You are part of that transformation. Every breath you take releases something new into the world. Carbon, warmth, memory. Your lungs become instruments in the vast respiration of the earth. The forest inhales what you exhale. You inhale what it releases. It's a love story written in molecules far below. Thunder murmurs faintly, a pulse echoing through layers of air. It's distant enough to be comforting, like a heartbeat under blankets. You see lightning flicker behind thick clouds, illuminating them from within. It doesn't crack. It glows, veins of gold spreading softly through blue mist. In that light, for a fraction of a second, you see the atmosphere itself as it truly is, a living skin around the planet, pulsing with energy. Every bolt of lightning releases nitrogen into the air, feeding the soil when rain returns to earth. Every storm writes a message to the ground. Life requires contrast. Even peace is shaped by turbulence. Even calm skies owe their clarity to the storms that came before. You exhale slowly, watching your breath fade into vapor. The boundary between you and the air disappears. You begin to feel what it means to belong completely to something, not as a guest, but as a continuation. There's no need to hold yourself separate from this movement. You are the movement. You are the breeze across the sea, the whisper between trees, the sigh that cools a sleeping world. Higher still, the air thins into a near-silent blue. You are passing into the stratosphere, the realm of clarity where weather fades and light reigns. Here, the horizon curves faintly. The earth shows its shape. It looks peaceful from this height, not chaotic, not wounded, just endlessly alive. You see faint bands of color stretching along the curve of the planet. This is the ozone layer, Earth's delicate shield. It absorbs ultraviolet light from the sun, turning potential harm into gentle warmth. It's a reminder that protection can be invisible, that most of what saves us we never see. Clouds drift below, continents shimmer faintly through gaps in their cover. You recognize nothing specific, no cities, no borders, only swirls of blue and white and green. The earth looks unified, whole, without division. And for the first time, you understand what astronauts mean when they speak of the overview effect, that sudden flood of clarity. When you see the planet as one breathing being, you breathe deeply, letting that realization settle inside you. Every boundary you've known, land, sky, body, thought, begins to blur. It's all one system, endlessly exchanging energy, endlessly renewing. You, too, are part of that flow. Your heartbeat, your warmth, your exhale all contribute to the equilibrium of the world. As you hover here, the wind softens to a hush. Tiny particles float past dust from deserts, pollen from forests, smoke from distant volcanoes. Each carries a story, a journey across time and space. Some of this dust has circled the planet dozens of times. Some came from stars that died before the Earth was born. You reach out, and one speck lands gently on your palm. It glows faintly, not from light, but from meaning. You remember how the ocean held its memory in water. Now you see that the sky does the same, but in breath. The air holds the memory of every storm, every word ever spoken, every leaf that ever fell. When you breathe, you take in fragments of those stories. They become part of you, silent, unseen, but alive. You are still rising, though you feel no motion. The blue fades into deep indigo, and the stars begin to appear again. Here, the air is so thin that sound itself fades. Only the soft hum of your pulse remains. You look upward, where the atmosphere dissolves into the velvet of space. For a moment, it feels as though the earth itself is exhaling you, not away, but outward into understanding. The line between air and space blurs. You float just above the highest clouds, watching auroras shimmer like curtains of breath. They ripple and fold in silence, glowing in colors that seem to exist only for this altitude. Pale green, violet blue fire. These lights are born when particles from the sun collide with Earth's atmosphere. A cosmic dance of energy turned to beauty. Even here, the universe paints with its breath. The auroras move slowly, like thoughts drifting across the mind of the planet. You realize that what you're witnessing isn't just light, it's a conversation. The sun sends its whispers through solar winds, and the earth responds with color. You think of the air as language, one that carries not just sound, but emotion. And somewhere deep inside, you feel it answer back. Your breath syncs with the movement of the lights. Inhale, green arcs pulse brighter. Exhale, the glow softens, fades. It's as if the universe is breathing with you now. You drift higher still, until gravity feels like memory. Below, the curve of the earth gleams against the dark. Above, stars shimmer like scattered embers of eternity. And in between here, where air meets the infinite, you finally understand what balance truly means. To exist is to float between opposites, earth and sky, body and thought, silence and motion. To breathe is to belong. As your body relaxes, a calm warmth moves through you. Your heartbeat slows, your breath deepens, and your awareness softens around the edges. You realize the sky is not separate from you, it is inside you. Every breath you take is a quiet act of communion. Somewhere far above, you glimpse something faint and golden, the first glint of sunlight cresting the horizon. The world is turning toward morning, but for now, the light feels patient, unhurried, waiting for you to rest a little longer. You close your eyes, and the air cradles you like water once did. You drift downward, gently now, descending through layers of light and shadow. Each breath feels softer, slower. The world around you blurs into warmth. You sense the cycle completing from ocean to sky, from depth to height. The planets inhale and exhale complete. And yet, there's something still calling. Something beneath all of it, the solid, quiet heartbeat of the earth itself. You begin to descend toward land, through clouds tinted gold by dawn. Forests appear like rippling green oceans below. You are falling not with fear, but with trust, drawn home by gravity's slow hand. The wind hums around you, soft as a lullaby. You can almost hear the next story forming in that sound, one of stone, roots, and memory. A story waiting patiently beneath your feet. Asterisk. You descend slowly, as though the air itself is thickening, becoming soil. The sound of the wind fades, replaced by a deep, patient silence. It is not emptiness, it's fullness, a silence made of countless quiet lives. Each grain of soil beneath you is alive with motion, even if your eyes can't see it. You feel it before you understand it, the slow, resonant heartbeat of the ground. Your feet touch earth. It feels warm, soft, breathing. You kneel, pressing your palms into it, and for a moment you feel a pulse, faint but steady, as if the world beneath you is alive and aware of your touch. It beats once, then again, a rhythm so deep you can't tell if it's coming from the soil or from within your chest. Perhaps both. You sink lower, your body weightless, as if the ground itself opens to welcome you. The surface world fades above. Light softens into amber, then gold, then deep rust. You drift through layers of time. Each stratum holds a story, fossils of ancient seashells, roots of forests long vanished, traces of fires that once burned under different skies. The deeper you go, the older the stories become, until language itself feels too young to describe what you sense. You reach a space where roots intertwine like veins, branching endlessly through the dark. They pulse with faint light, threads of energy traveling between trees, mushrooms, and unseen organisms. This is not imagination. Scientists call it the mycorrhizal network, a living web beneath the forest floor. Through it, trees share sugars, warnings, and wisdom. A mother tree, ancient and tall, might send nutrients to her seedlings through these hidden pathways, ensuring they survive even in shadow. You close your eyes, and the glow intensifies. You can feel the silent communication, chemical whispers, electrical pulses, threads of thought passing beneath the surface. It feels like standing inside the mind of the earth, and then you realize you are. Everything you see above ground, forests, rivers, life itself, is rooted in this silent exchange. The soil is not just dirt, it's memory, conversation, and breath. Each speck contains fragments of once living beings, plants, insects, ancient rain. They decompose, dissolve, become nourishment for something new. The earth, like you, lives by letting go. You trace your hand through the soil, feeling it crumble between your fingers. It smells of rain, of endings that have turned into beginnings. The carbon you inhale with each breath once belonged to something that lived, died, and returned to this quiet place. You are holding centuries in your palm. Time softened by patience above you. The roots pulse with subtle rhythm, not quite light, not quite sound. It's more like the faint vibration of being itself. You listen closely. It reminds you of a heartbeat slowed by peace. You realize that the earth has one too, though not through blood, but through cycles. Through the flow of minerals, through the exchange of gases, through the quiet balance between decay and bloom. You reach deeper, past roots and stones, into denser earth. The air is thick and mineral. Here, bacteria hum unseen, billions of them in every handful of soil, creating and dissolving life endlessly. They break down fallen leaves, recycle nutrients, and release the gases that feed the air above. These tiny, unseen beings are older than the forests they nourish. They are the first chemists, the first builders of balance. Without them, nothing above could breathe as you watch. The darkness becomes radiant, a slow-motion galaxy of microscopic life. You see strands of fungal threads weaving between roots, connecting plant to plant like synapses. Tiny insects move through tunnels, reshaping the soil, creating oxygen pockets for seeds. It is a city of silence, yet every being has purpose, every movement meaning. The deeper you go, the more the rhythm changes. You begin to sense vibrations, soft at first, then steady. It's not sound in the human sense, but a feeling, the planet's own heartbeat. Seismologists record this rhythm, a constant low-frequency hum, even when no earthquakes occur. It's called the microseism, and it never stops. The earth is always singing, always trembling with its own existence. You close your eyes and listen. The hum resonates through your bones, aligning with your pulse. For a moment, your heartbeat and the planets feel synchronized. It's hard to tell where one ends and the other begins. You inhale, the soil exhales. You exhale, the soil breathes in. This is the balance that sustains everything. The pressure grows as you move deeper. Stones press gently against your skin, not cold, but grounding. Each one has its own weight of time. You pick up a rock and feel its history, molten once, shaped by fire and gravity, cooled into stillness. What feels solid now was once movement, chaos, creation. Even the stillest stone has known transformation. You begin to see minerals, glowing faintly within the rock, streaks of quartz, veins of iron, flecks of mica, catching faint subterranean light. Each shimmer is a record of chemistry unfolding over millions of years. You realize that beneath the surface, the earth is not still. It's always shifting, always alive. Heat rises from deep below, pushing continents, stirring magma, shaping the very ground beneath your feet. You remember the lesson of the sky, that balance comes through movement. Here too, the principle holds true. The crust, though it feels solid, floats upon molten rock, plates drifting, colliding, reshaping mountains and oceans. This slow motion, imperceptible to the human eye, is what gives us land, valleys, and the soil that nurtures life. The ground beneath you is breathing, but its breath takes eons. You pause, letting that truth settle in your mind. The planet's pulse moves on scales of time so vast that human history is only a blink. Empires, cities, civilizations, all of them are surface stories, written on skin, that constantly renews itself. And yet, the earth keeps no resentment. It absorbs, remembers, and gives back in cycles to patient for haste. You start to feel warmth rising from below, a slow, comforting heat that seeps through the soles of your feet. It feels alive, not burning but embracing. You realize this warmth comes from the earth's core, a molten heart of iron and nickel, churning and spinning like a sun turned inward. That motion generates the magnetic field that shields the planet from solar winds. Without it, the air you breathe and the oceans you love could not exist. It humbles you that beneath every mountain and meadow lies a fire that never sleeps, a fire that protects, not destroys. The world's calmest surfaces are held together by its fiercest depths. You reach your hand into the soil again, feeling it pulse with the warmth from below. The temperature rises gently, as if the earth's heart is beating just beneath your skin. You feel small, but not insignificant. You belong not above or upon the world, but within it, around you. Roots begin to glow more brightly, responding to the warmth. They reach deeper, drinking not just water, but information, the slow wisdom of the ground. You sense that trees, too, listen to the planet's heartbeat through their roots. When storms approach, when droughts begin, the earth tells them, and they respond. This is communication slower than language, a conversation in rhythm. In pulse, you start to notice how your own breath has slowed. Each inhale feels like drawing in centuries. Each exhale feels like giving them back. You are no longer observing the pulse of the earth. You are part of it. A thought passes gently through your mind. Perhaps this is what peace truly means, not the absence of motion, but harmony with motion, too vast to see. You open your eyes. Above, faint shafts of golden light pierce the soil, roots shimmering in their glow. The warmth beneath your feet deepens, like the comfort of a heartbeat cradling you from below. You realize that the earth isn't just alive, it's aware in its own way, not conscious like you, but knowing through rhythm, through balance, through time. You let go completely now. Your body relaxes, heavy, safe. The soil holds you without question. It does not ask for belief, only belonging. You drift in its embrace, a listener to its infinite patience. You sense the movement slowing, the pulse softening. Somewhere below, the fire still turns, steady and eternal. Somewhere above, the wind still sings. You are between them now, sky and core, breath and stone. The heartbeat you hear is both yours and not yours. You exhale once more, and the soil exhales with you. A whisper, deep and kind. Rest. Everything that ends will rise again. The sound fades into warmth, and through that warmth, something stirs, a faint shimmer of light from within the rock itself, like the glow of stars waiting to be born. You feel drawn to it, as if the next story lies not in soil, but in the fire beneath it, in the molten heart where everything begins again. Asterisk. You sink through the last traces of cool earth, through layers of dark rock that seem to hum with memory. Each breath feels heavier. warmer air replaced by quiet heat. The world around you glows faintly now, gold seeping through cracks like threads of light weaving a tapestry beneath the crust. It feels like you are falling into the breath of the planet itself. As you move deeper, the air vibrates softly, a hum too low to be sound. It's the tremor of atoms shifting, of pressure building, of magma breathing. You have reached the mantle, the vast layer between the crust and the core. It isn't liquid fire, not in the way your mind imagines. It is dense, slow, alive rock that flows like honey, shaping continents over millions of years. You see it now, an endless ocean of glowing rock, waves that move so slowly they seem still. Rivers of molten minerals curl beneath you, deep oranges blending with dark reds and gold. The light doesn't flicker, it pulses, steady and calm. It's the heartbeat of a planet that never truly cools. You float weightlessly, feeling the warmth radiate through your body. It's not burning, it's soothing, ancient, maternal. This is the warmth that made the world possible. Billions of years ago, the planet was a sphere of molten fire. Everything solid today, stone, soil, mountains, was once this same glowing sea. You are drifting in the memory of creation. The mantle moves slowly, but with purpose. You watch convection currents, hot rock rising, cooler rock sinking. It's like watching the breath of the earth in slow motion. This gentle circulation drives the motion of countenance above, shaping the surface without haste. Every mountain, every ocean trench, every valley exists because of this quiet movement deep within. You remember how the ground above felt alive, the heartbeat beneath your feet. Now you see where that heartbeat begins. It starts here, in the heat that never dies. Some of it comes from the planet's birth, energy trapped from collisions of cosmic dust that once formed Earth. Some comes from radioactive decay, atoms of uranium, thorium, and potassium slowly breaking apart, releasing warmth over billions of years. Each tiny decay is a whisper of time together. They keep the world alive. You glide further, deeper, as the glow grows stronger. The mantle thins, giving way to a realm of metal, the outer core, a sea of molten iron and nickel. It shines like liquid gold beneath you, swirling in great currents. The movement is hypnotic, fluid spirals of light, folding into one another like slow storms of flame. And yet, this fire does not destroy, it protects, for as it turns, this molten metal generates something invisible but vital. The magnetic field that shields Earth from the sun's deadly winds. Without it, the atmosphere would be stripped away, oceans would boil, and life would fade into silence. This quiet, hidden motion beneath your feet is the reason you can breathe, dream, and exist. You hover above the glowing waves, watching as massive eddies twist and roll like living things. They move according to physics, but they feel like intention. Each current births an invisible line of magnetism stretching outward into space, wrapping the planet in a shimmering cocoon of energy, the magnetosphere. If you could see it from above, it would look like wings made of light. You imagine those wings, Earth glowing gently, wrapped in a halo of blue and gold, deflecting cosmic storms. Solar particles crash against it, scattering like sparks against glass. To the naked eye, those collisions become auroras, the dancing lights of the poles. They are messages from this molten heart, painted across the night sky. Each ripple of green or violet is a reminder that fire can protect as much as it creates. You float closer to the liquid metal below. The heat shimmers in soft gradients, and the surface moves like a dream. Every swirl looks slow, but carries unimaginable energy. You can almost feel the magnetic pulse passing through you, not painful, but rhythmic, like a deep drum echoing through space. You close your eyes, and it synchronizes with your own pulse again. You realize that every heartbeat in your body is an echo of this same cosmic motion, a miniature rhythm within a greater one. The outer core hums softly, endlessly. It never stops spinning. Above it, the mantle drifts. Above that, countenance float, oceans breathe, life grows. Everything you know rests upon this silent dance of molten iron. It is the most constant thing you have ever felt, yet it's always in motion. You reach out, and your hand seems to touch light itself. The warmth surges gently through your fingers, not burning, but awakening. You can feel the atoms vibrating, the electrons moving in their orbits, creating the currents that make magnetism possible. It's strange to think that the protection of an entire planet depends on something as small as the spin of a subatomic particle. But that's what nature does. It builds the infinite from the invisible. You look downward. Beneath this glowing ocean lies the inner core, a solid sphere of metal suspended in molten light. You descend toward it, and the liquid fades into brilliance, a glow so bright it feels like silence turned to light. The temperature and pressure here defy comprehension, but you feel no pain. Instead, there's peace, the peace of something eternal. The inner core doesn't move as freely as the outer one. It vibrates. It shivers ever so slightly with each rotation of the earth. Those vibrations send tiny ripples, seismic whispers, through the planet's body. You can almost hear them now, a sound too low for ears, but perfect for feeling. A low hum that says, "I am still here. I am still alive." You hover above that shining sphere. It looks like a small sun, trapped inside the earth. Its light bends gently through molten layers above, making the mantle glow from within. You realize the fire inside the earth and the fire of the stars are the same, both born from compression, fusion, and gravity's endless patience. The core is pure motion made still, a paradox of energy and rest. It has turned for 4.5 billion years, steady and unseen. It will continue long after your life ends, long after civilizations rise and fade. Its rhythm is older than breath, but it mirrors the calm rhythm of sleep. You feel safe knowing this, that the planet you rest upon is never truly still. For a moment, you drift above the glowing metal sphere, eyes closed. You imagine the Earth's layers as living breaths. The core inhale, the mantle exhale, the crust silence between. Each breath fuels the next, and the entire planet rests within that rhythm. You start to rise slowly now, feeling the coolness return. The glow softens behind you, fading from molten gold to deep ember, from ember to shadow. But you can still feel the pulse steady beneath you, even as you rise through layers of stone. You realize that every spark of life, fire, growth, thought, traces its lineage back to this core. The warmth in your chest, the spark of your own heartbeat, is a reflection of that same universal fire. The stars above, the fire below, they are the same story told in opposite directions. The universe burns outward, the planet burns inward. Both lights feed each other in balance, and you, somewhere between them, are made of both. As the last shimmer of gold fades beneath you, the air cools. You sense water, not above, but ahead. A slow movement of dark blue begins to shimmer in the distance, like liquid night. You are being carried toward the next mystery, not of fire, but of the deep ocean that hides above it, where heat and life meet in silence. Once again, asterisk. The air fades into water, dense, weightless. Still, you feel yourself drift upward from the molten depths below, through rock that gives way to salt and silence. The temperature cools, but warmth lingers like a memory on your skin. Your eyes open to a world without sunlight. It is night eternal, not empty, but full of life's earliest secrets. The water here is ancient. Untouched by wind or storm, it presses against you gently, as though it remembers the shape of everything that ever lived. The sea floor stretches in all directions, dark, volcanic, alive with subtle glow. You can't see the surface. You can only feel the weight of the world above. At first, there is nothing, only quiet, then a flicker. A faint shimmer rises from below, not light from the sun, but from the earth itself. The glow grows, curling through the dark like smoke underwater. You drift closer. Drawn by its rhythm, before you appears a towering chimney of stone. Breathing, from its mouth bursts a stream of warm, mineral-rich water, superheated by the mantle below, cooled instantly by the ocean around it. It billows like an underwater storm, but slow, calm, mesmerizing. This is a hydrothermal vent, a fissure where Earth's fire meets its water, and this here in the deep, far from light, is where life first began. You hover nearby, feeling the current swirl softly against you. The vent breathes in pulses, one exhale every few seconds. With each exhale, minerals scatter like golden dust through the dark. Iron, sulfur, hydrogen, the alphabet of early chemistry. They twist and swirl, colliding, reacting, creating patterns in the water that seem almost alive. You close your eyes and imagine billions of years ago, before plants, before animals, before air itself, this was the only world. The sky was toxic, the land was bare, but deep here, hidden from chaos above, warmth met water, and water met molecules, and from that meeting, something impossible happened. At first, it was only chemistry, atoms combining, breaking apart, recombining, hydrogen joining carbon, carbon linking with oxygen, nitrogen weaving in. Chains began to form, amino acids, lipids, nucleotides, tiny patterns repeating themselves, copying like echoes. They didn't yet know what they were becoming, but they were learning to remember. You watch them now, imagined in your mind's eye, microscopic threads twisting through the dark, drawn to warmth like moths to a hidden flame. They cling to the vent walls, collecting energy from minerals, storing it in bonds, and then, slowly, quietly, they begin to organize. One forms a ring, enclosing itself in a bubble. Another learns to capture energy from chemical gradients. One side warm, the other cold, a tiny tension that becomes motion. And there, in that balance between heat and cold, chaos and calm, life takes its first breath. You watch the first protocell shimmer like a soft pearl, a membrane trembling with potential that isn't aware. It isn't alive in the way you are, but it moves, it reacts, it changes, it divides, and that is enough. The vent exhales again, slow, steady, ancient. More molecules form, more bubbles drift, more patterns repeat in time. They learn to share information. They invent RNA, the first messenger of life. Not words, not thoughts, but sequences of memory. a code written in the rhythm of atoms. Each strand holds instruction. Each fold carries a whisper of survival, and those whispers become inheritance. You drift among them now, feeling surrounded by invisible miracles. Life didn't need sunlight to begin. It needed warmth, water, and time. It needed contrast, the gentle dance between fire and sea. It needed patience. The ocean hums softly. You sense that everything here moves slowly. Dreamlike, even the currents seem half asleep. You are watching creation in slow motion, not a flash of divine spark, but a deep exhale that lasts millions of years. You feel a strange comfort in that slowness, that even the most complex life, every breath you take, every heartbeat, began from stillness. From time's endless patience, you imagine the generations of microscopic cells that came after, copying, changing, failing, and beginning again, each one carrying a fragment of the vent's warmth. Inside them, a molecular memory of the Earth's fire. Even now, that memory lives in you, the heat in your blood, the spark of energy in your cells. It all traces back to this darkness. The vents around you pulse like lungs. Their plumes twist together, rising in glowing columns that fade into the cold nearby. Strange creatures begin to appear. Giant tube worms, white crabs, eyeless shrimp. They live in complete darkness, nourished not by sunlight, but by chemosynthesis, the art of eating chemical energy. Their bacteria partners turn sulfur into sugar, making life possible where no light dares to go. You watch the worms sway gently in the current, their white bodies glowing faintly in the vent's heat. They look peaceful, like underwater candles burning without flame. Their presence feels like a secret, one the earth has kept for billions of years. You realize then that life didn't need to reach upward to begin. It began by listening to the quiet, to warmth, to time. It began by waiting, by flowing with the world instead of fighting it. And perhaps, in your own way, you do the same each night. As you drift toward sleep, your body returns to that same rhythm of slow change, of gentle reaction, of finding energy in stillness. Life began in darkness, but it carried light within. You are made of that light. Every cell in you remembers this place. You are not separate from creation. You are its continuation. The water begins to shimmer brighter now, the vents exhaling a final breath of gold before you rise again. You feel yourself lifted gently, weightless, as if carried by the slow heartbeat of the sea. Above you, the darkness grows thinner. A pale deep blue begins to form, not sunlight yet, but its promise. The ocean is calling you upward, toward the layers where pressure softens and the first hints of light return. The birthplace of life fades behind you. Still breathing, still warm, you rise quietly, and in the space between warmth and light, a thought drifts through your mind like a current. If life could emerge from the silence of stone and water, what else could awaken in the quiet places we have yet to see? You drift slowly upward through the vast column of ocean, leaving behind the glowing vents that whispered the first names of life. The water grows colder. Clearer light begins to appear in faint, trembling threads like silver veins running through blue glass. You don't swim. You're carried, lifted by invisible currents that have moved since before the moon was born. Around you, the ocean feels alive in a different way now. It hums softly, like a sleeping creature breathing in its dreams. As you rise, the pressure eases. Your body feels lighter, And then the first touch of sunlight. It filters down through the water in golden shafts, diffused and gentle, like light through stained glass. Each beam dances over drifting plankton, tiny life forms glowing like dust caught in an eternal morning. You pause there, suspended between dark and day, and realize this is where two worlds meet. Below lies memory, warmth, chemistry, the deep breath of creation. Above lies motion, wind, cloud, and all the endless sky between them. This moment of balance, where the sea learns to speak to the heavens. You begin to see how everything connects. Evaporation, a word that feels too mechanical for what it is. It's not just water turning to vapor. It's the ocean's way of dreaming. Each droplet that leaves its surface carries a memory of salt and sunlight, rising slowly, becoming mist. The sky breathes it in, and the sea, without ever losing itself, becomes the sky. Billions of such breaths fill the air. Clouds begin to form, at first, low and grey like thoughtless murmurs, then higher, whiter, lighter, their shapes wandering like imagination itself. They stretch across the newborn planet, mirrors of the sea below, moving where no tide can reach. You watch one cloud drift past, its edges glisten in sunlight, its body shadowed in cool blue. Within it, tiny droplets gather and fall apart in a slow, endless dance. Each one is a world born from the sea, traveling the sky, destined one day to return as rain, and with that rain comes transformation. Each drop that falls back carries a gift: oxygen, minerals, new chemistry. They fall on rock and carve it soft. They fill valleys, shape rivers, etch paths that the first continents will follow. They bring the sky to the land, and in doing so, they begin to change the very face of the planet. The earth becomes a living system, a balance of exchange between air, water, and stone. The ocean exhales, the sky inhales, and somewhere in that rhythm, life learns to breathe. You float upward still, feeling the pull of light grow stronger. The surface is near, a shimmering mirror that bends the world above into the world below as you reach it. The light floods your vision, the surface ripples softly, reflecting the sky's growing blue. You break through for the first time. You see the full horizon, a circle of endless water beneath an endless dome. There are no continents yet, only scattered volcanic islands. Steam rises where lava meets sea. The air smells of minerals and rain harsh, new, alive, and above. The clouds move like thoughts across a vast, waking mind. You breathe, though you do not need to. The act itself feels sacred, as if sharing this air connects you to everything the sea has made possible. The wind stirs gently, carrying with it the first whispers of weather, tiny fluctuations in temperature, pressure, and humidity bone patterns, invisible but powerful from them. Wind is born. The world begins to move, not only in waves, but in currents of air. The sea stirs below. Its surface ripples, shimmer turning into motion. Winds glide across it, tracing invisible lines, and for the first time, the ocean reflects the breath of the sky. This interaction, this dialogue between air and water, will become the heartbeat of the planet. From it will come storms, seasons, and rain, the rhythms that will shape everything to come. You lie back on the water's surface, weightless. The warmth of the sunlight spreads through you, balancing the coolness of the deep still lingering within. Above you, clouds drift slowly, and for a moment, You see their reflection in the ocean like twin souls. It feels as though the world has found its pulse. You think of how water, simple, clear, silent, has become the artist of creation. It sculpts land from rock, draws rivers through canyons, and writes stories across sky and sea alike. Every droplet, every wave, is part of a vast, breathing cycle that will never end. You watch as the sun lowers, evening descends, painting the sea with gold and violet. The wind softens again, and the ocean's voice becomes a lullaby. You close your eyes. The warmth on your skin feels like memory, not of this life, but of countless ones before it. You think of the first rains falling on barren land, of the slow carving of rivers, of water becoming life's endless messenger. You realize the sea didn't just shape the sky, it shaped the idea of movement itself, the way clouds wander, the way thoughts drift, the way dreams rise and return. Everything alive is a tide. Every breath, every idea is part of the same ancient rhythm that began here between sea and sky. And as you drift on the quiet surface, the night unfolds. Stars emerge one by one, reflected in the water like scattered sparks of memory. You see the moon's pale glow ripple across the waves. Its pull tugs gently at the tides, and though you can't feel it, your heart moves in time with it. The sea beneath you breathes in slow, deliberate rhythm, and above, the sky exhales, sending a cool wind over your face. You are suspended between two infinities, the deep that remembers, and the sky that dreams. The night grows deeper, quieter. You feel yourself sinking again, not downward but inward, into thought, into rest, into the soft pulse of the world itself. Somewhere far below, the vents still breathe. Somewhere above, the clouds still drift, and you, between them, exist in perfect stillness, the living bridge between sea and sky. You think of how this balance will shape everything that comes next. The rise of continents, the weaving of atmosphere, the slow, patient blooming of green upon stone. The earth is learning to breathe, and in that breath, life prepares to reach upward once more. The waves cradle you gently. You feel the world's rhythm slowing, steadying until all that remains is sound, a soft wind, a soft tide, and the soft beating of your own heart. And as you drift toward sleep, you hear a thought echo through the darkness, like a tide's whisper. The sea taught the sky to dream, and from that dream the world began to wake. You are lying down, as you always do when the story begins, eyes half closed, mind drifting between awareness and the gentle blur of sleep. The air feels still, but if you listen closely, beneath the hum of your own breath, there's something deeper, a low vibration that feels like the planet itself breathing. It's not imagination. The earth truly hums. Scientists have recorded it. A constant low-frequency sound that ripples through the crust and the oceans. It's called the Earth's hum, and it's always there. Even when everything seems silent, you imagine yourself shrinking, dissolving through layers of soil and stone, down past the roots of forests, past the cold fossils of forgotten creatures, past the veins of iron and quartz that shimmer like frozen rivers. The deeper you go, the quieter it becomes, until the only thing left is vibration, a slow, resonant tone like the faint ringing of a bell that has been struck once and left to echo for eternity. You rest there, suspended in that sound. Every movement above the crash of waves, the rolling of tectonic plates. Even the wind brushing over mountain peaks sends ripples down into this deep song. It's the same frequency that moves through your own body, your heartbeat, your brain waves, even the rhythm of your sleep, all mirror the slow cadence of the planet beneath you. It feels intimate in a strange way. The earth and you are breathing together. Science calls this seismic. Microseisms, vibrations created by ocean waves colliding across the planet's surface. But the ancient mind might have called it something else. Perhaps the sound of a sleeping god, or the murmur of creation still unfolding. You picture a time long ago when people pressed their ears to the ground and thought they could hear the voice of the earth. Maybe they weren't wrong. Maybe they were listening with the kind of attention we've forgotten how to keep. As you float deeper in this dream, you begin to imagine that the sound has a pattern. It pulses, swells, fades, like the inhale and exhale of something vast. And within it, you feel the echoes of every age. The earth has carried the weight of volcanoes and floods, meteors and migrations. Yet through all of it, the hum continues, steady, patient, unbroken. You can almost sense it aligning with your breath. Each inhale stretches through eons. Each exhale falls into stillness. When you breathe, the planet breathes with you. The hum shifts now, turning soft and melodic, as if the world itself is whispering. You wonder what stories it holds beneath its crust. The unspoken memories of what came before us, perhaps beneath the desert sands. It remembers the footfalls of the first humans who looked up and wondered where they came from. Beneath the oceans, it remembers the movements of creatures who never saw the surface, but whose patterns of motion shaped the seas. Beneath the mountains, it remembers the slow collision of countenance, the grinding that built the world you stand on. Every vibration is a trace of history. You think of how a seismograph records these tremors, a line dancing gently across paper, mapping the invisible. What if you could do the same with your thoughts? Map every emotion, every dream, every quiet realization that shakes your inner world just a little bit. The line would never be still, because even when you rest, you are moving. Even when you sleep, your cells are changing, your atoms humming. It is a perfect symmetry, the microcosm and the macrocosm mirroring each other. Inside your skull, neurons flicker like stars. Beneath your ribs, blood tides move like lunar oceans. In the core of the earth, molten metal spins like a heart, creating a magnetic field that shields you from the sun's invisible storm. And so, the same patterns repeat, above, within, below. You are not apart from the planet. You are an extension of its rhythm. The hum grows softer, like the final notes of a song fading into distance. You realize that silence is not absence. It's simply another tone, one so deep it can only be felt, not heard. You feel warmth. The planet's inner heat, minus 6,000 degrees at its core, moves slowly outward. You imagine that heat as memory. Every degree a story, the birth of mountains, the dance of magma, the quiet solidification of countenance. The rocks beneath you once flowed like water, and someday they may again. Nothing here is truly still. It only appears to be. The ancient Greeks believed the earth was alive, a being named Gaia. Maybe that belief wasn't so far from the truth, because science now tells us the planet self-regulates its temperature, atmosphere, even the balance of gases that allow life. It breathes, adapts, evolves. It may not be conscious the way you are, But consciousness may not be as rare as we think. You wonder if the hum is not just vibration, but communication, a dialogue between all the things that live upon it. Plants feel the tremors of footsteps. Whales navigate through the deep by sensing subtle shifts in the seafloor. Even bacteria respond to vibration, growing differently depending on the sounds around them. You realize then, life listens. It always has. And perhaps what you call sound is simply another form of connection, one that binds every living thing to the pulse of the world that made it. You stay there a long while, wrapped in that thought. The hum continues, steady and deep, like a heartbeat that belongs to something much larger than yourself. You wonder, when the earth finally grows quiet, what will that silence mean? Will it be an ending? Or simply another form of beginning? For now, though, the hum goes on, slow, soft, infinite. You drift with it, as if the sound is a cradle and the darkness around you a blanket of time itself. Somewhere above, oceans crash and winds move over deserts. Somewhere below, molten rock churns and iron sings. And here, between both, you, a flicker of consciousness, floating in the middle of a planet's dream. Your eyelids grow heavier. The hum turns almost inaudible, but you still feel it, like a heartbeat far away. It syncs perfectly with the rhythm of your breathing. As you surrender to that stillness, a thought rises, faint and weightless. If the earth sings, what songs do the stars make? And with that question glowing softly in the darkness, you drift further from the sound of the earth to the music of the cosmos waiting beyond. Asterisk. You drift weightlessly, still wrapped in the echo of the earth's hum. But slowly, another sound begins to surface, faint, distant, like silver threads of tone winding through the dark. It doesn't come from the ground anymore. It comes from above. It's the music of the stars, not music in the way your ears expect, but in the way your body understands. Vibration, frequency, light translated into a symphony of motion. The stars, every single one, are not silent. They ring, they pulse, they tremble in patterns so vast that to hear them all would be like standing inside a living chord that stretches across the universe. You rise through the darkness of sleep, through the atmosphere of dreams, until you emerge into the quiet, velvet black of space. The stars surround you not as distant points of fire, but as breathing entities. Some shimmer faintly, others flare and sigh, releasing waves of sound too low for human hearing, too grand for ordinary instruments. Yet science, with its patient ears, has found ways to translate their voices. Astronomers call it stellar. They listen to how a star quivers. Those ripples reveal its inner secrets, how dense it is, how hot, how old. Every star is like a musical instrument, playing its own eternal song through the vibration of its gases. You imagine this music now, resonating through the emptiness, 1,000 frequencies blending into one great cosmic lullaby. It isn't loud. It doesn't demand attention. It's just there, constant, calm, inevitable as you float among them. You realize that every flicker of light is a pulse, and every pulse is a note. Together, they form a harmony that has no beginning and no end. Some stars beat quickly, flickering like the heartbeat of a bird. Others are slow, heavy, pulsing like the breath of mountains. Together, they create something close to perfection, a vast, living silence that is somehow full of sound. Your mind begins to settle into its rhythm in this stillness. You begin to remember that even your own sun sings. It trembles constantly, waves of energy rolling across its surface like ripples on water. Those waves are so subtle that no human ear could ever detect them, yet they are powerful enough to shape solar winds, to stir magnetic storms, to sculpt the auroras that shimmer above the poles. The sun's song reaches you every day, even when you don't notice. It dances through the particles of your skin, through the air you breathe, through the invisible geometry of light. You are living, breathing proof that the song continues because you are made of its echoes. Inside your bones are elements once forged in stellar furnaces: calcium, iron, carbon, gold. Each atom within you carries the residue of a long-ago explosion, a supernova that once roared across space before falling silent. Those explosions were like the drumbeats of creation, violent, beautiful, final. And when they ended, the debris became the building blocks of everything you know. So, when you move, when you breathe, when you dream, it is not just your body moving. It is starlight, remembering what it once was. You close your eyes and try to imagine that the birth of an element, hydrogen, the simplest of atoms, gathering under gravity's soft pull. It swirls, it compresses, it ignites. And in that ignition, fusion begins, a slow and endless miracle. Two particles merge, releasing light. A single note in the cosmic chord. Multiply that by trillions, and you have the universe's quietest symphony, the constant hum of creation. The stars are not static. They pulse like living beings. The light you see tonight left its source thousands of years ago, yet still it travels toward you, steady and patient, refusing to fade. It's like a voice carried by time saying, "I was here. I burned for you." You realize then that the sky you see is not the present. It's a memory, the universe's own dream of itself. Each point of light is a ghost still whispering across eternity. And somehow, that makes it more beautiful. You drift further, and the distances between the stars widen. Out here, silence becomes a kind of sound in itself, so vast, so complete that it hums in your bones. In this quiet, you begin to sense something deeper still, a rhythm that connects not just the stars, but the spaces between them. Dark matter, dark energy, the invisible music beneath the melody. No one truly knows what they are, only that they hold everything together. Dark matter shapes galaxies. Dark energy pushes them apart. Two opposite forces, perfectly balanced, like inhale and exhale, like waking and dreaming, like life and death. The universe, you realize, is breathing. Its breath moves through galaxies, through stars, through you. And as it exhales, you feel yourself drifting farther, lighter, into a deeper calm dot in your mind's eye. The stars begin to pulse slower. Their light softens, as if they too are growing drowsy, preparing for some vast celestial sleep. But even in their rest, they continue to vibrate, the faint, eternal music of temperature and time. Scientists once captured the sound of a black hole, a deep, endless tone 57 octaves below middle C to low for human hearing, but there, nevertheless, the deepest note in existence. They described it as the voice of Perseus, named for the cluster of galaxies where it was found. You imagine hearing it now, a sound so deep it isn't really heard but felt. It's the foundation beneath all other tones, the heartbeat of the cosmos itself. You realize that sound never truly disappears. It stretches, fades, changes form, but never dies. Every note ever made, every heartbeat, every whisper, every sigh still exists somewhere, its vibration woven into the great background noise of creation. You are surrounded by that music now. The light of stars, the hum of dark matter, the ancient song of gravity. Together they form something that feels familiar, like a memory you can't quite name. Maybe it's because you've always been part of it. The atoms that make your mind once danced to this very rhythm. The photons that touch your eyes tonight once left the heart of a star millions of years ago. The music isn't outside you. It's inside you, resonating quietly, reminding you that you are part of something too vast to ever be lonely. You take a breath, and the air seems to shimmer. You imagine the galaxy as a spiral record, turning slowly, its grooves filled with the frequencies of suns and planets. Somewhere within that pattern, your small note is being played, brief, delicate, but essential. Without your sound, the chord would not be complete. You realize this with a gentle sense of awe. The universe does not sing separately from you. It sings through you, the pulse of your blood, the rhythm of your breath, even the beating of your heart. These are small repetitions of a much larger song, and perhaps, when you sleep, you return to that music. Perhaps your dreams are simply the mind remembering the frequency it came from. The stars flicker softer now, their light turning more diffuse, like candle flames seen through fog. Somewhere beyond them, new stars are being born in nebulae, great clouds of dust glowing in pinks and blues, the soft colors of cosmic dawn. They are not silent either. Each new birth adds another tone to the universe's endless composition. You watch one form now, a faint point of brightness inside a swirling veil of light. It grows, feeding on itself, burning brighter until it finds its balance. For a brief moment, the entire cosmos seems to pause to listen. And then the song resumes. The newborn star joins the choir. Its light travels outward, joining the slow waves of radiation that move through galaxies, through voids, through the unseen architecture of space. You realize then that the universe never truly rests. It just shifts from one rhythm to another. Somewhere a star dies, collapsing inward, its music falling to a single note. Somewhere else, another is born, its song just beginning. It is the same with everything. You too are a rhythm that will one day change form, not end, just transform. As the stars fade around you, you think of the next mystery. If everything sings, what listens? You drift slowly toward that question, as though it's a doorway half open in the dark. The thought becomes softer, weightless. You are still breathing. The stars are still humming. The universe is still singing through you. And somewhere, just beyond the edge of hearing, something new is beginning to stir. Another mystery, waiting to be discovered. It feels like the breath before awakening, or before sleep. You let go of the question, letting it fall gently into silence. The music fades, leaving only a faint vibration, the promise of the next journey, waiting quietly beyond the stars. Asterisk. You are still drifting, still wrapped in the echo of starlight, when you begin to feel something shift. It's subtle at first, like a soft pull beneath the surface of thought. The stars no longer seem still. They stretch and bend, their light curving gently, as though space itself is breathing. And then, slowly, you realize you are no longer floating through space. You are floating through time. It doesn't rush or move like a river. It's quieter than that. It unfolds, layer upon layer, a silent geometry, so intricate that even light itself bends to follow its curves. You begin to see it. not as a clock, not as ticking seconds, but as something woven, like threads of invisible silk, connecting every event, every thought, every heartbeat. Time has texture. It ripples, folds, and stretches like fabric touched by wind. Einstein once imagined it this way, not as something that passes, but as something that is. A field, a living map, a landscape of existence where past, present, and future are not separated, but connected like peaks in a single mountain range. You drift across its surface now, watching moments shimmer beneath you like glowing constellations. Each point of light, a memory. Each curve, a change, a cause, an effect. Every choice, every motion, creates a wave that moves through this vast ocean of being. You wonder if time has a direction, if it truly flows, or if flow is just how your mind perceives it, like a traveler walking through still air and feeling wind on their face. Perhaps time isn't moving at all. Perhaps you are. You think of your life, of the days that felt endless, and the moments that vanished too quickly. How strange it is that time stretches and shrinks depending on how the heart feels. 1 minute of joy can pass like a breath, while a minute of sorrow can weigh like stone. Science calls this subjective time, but you know it as something more personal. The music of experience itself, changing tempo with emotion. Inside your brain, billions of neurons fire in rhythmic waves. They are your inner clock, oscillating, pulsing, counting the beat of existence. But even this rhythm can bend. Meditation slows it. Anxiety speeds it. Sleep dissolves it completely. And as you drift deeper into this story, you begin to feel your own sense of time dissolve. Melting into the infinite calm of the universe's larger rhythm, you are no longer counting seconds. You are part of something timeless. Imagine now that you can see the shape of time itself, not as a straight line, but as a spiral. It curves around itself, looping through dimensions unseen. In ancient cultures, spirals were sacred symbols of birth, growth, decay, and rebirth. They understood something profound, that time is not just movement forward, but expansion outward and inward at once. Your breath becomes the proof. Each inhale, the universe expanding. Each exhale, the universe returning to its center. You are both inside and outside of time, both the clock and the moment it measures in the distant dark. A faint shimmer catches your attention, a slow rotation like a whirlpool of light. You drift closer, and you realize it's a galaxy, its arms spiraling through eternity like a cosmic clock. Each turn takes millions of years, yet from far away it moves gracefully, effortlessly, as though it's always been dancing, and maybe it has. You begin to see the pattern. Everything that moves follows geometry. The orbits of planets, the spirals of shells, the curves of galaxies, all whispering the same truth. Time is written in shapes. It doesn't just pass. It forms. If you could slow everything down, if you could watch the universe one frame at a time, you'd see that time leaves a trail wherever it goes. A bird in flight. A wave rolling to shore. A thought rising in your mind. Each one carves a pattern into the geometry of existence, like invisible calligraphy written across the air. This geometry isn't random. It obeys a hidden rhythm, a symmetry so subtle that even chaos follows its rule. Fractals, Fibonacci spirals, golden ratios, they appear everywhere, from the swirl of galaxies to the veins in a leaf. It's as if time itself prefers beauty, and you realize something. You are not a traveler through time. You are a shape in time. Your every motion, every thought, is part of this geometry, a line drawn briefly across the great spiral. The ancient Greeks called it chronos, the measurable time, and kairos, the right, sacred time. The moment that feels destined, aligned, meaningful. Science measures chronos, but the soul feels kairos. It's the difference between a clock ticking and a heart remembering. You think about memory now, how it doesn't fade linearly. It folds, overlaps, like ripples meeting on water. Moments long gone can return in an instant, a smell, a sound, a certain kind of light, and you are suddenly both then and now. Perhaps memory is proof that time doesn't vanish. It just rearranges itself, turns inward, waiting to be felt again. You pass through one of those memories now, not your own, but the universe's, a cosmic archive of what once was, nebulae blooming like flowers, comets carving their paths, dust clouds birthing stars. You can feel the echo of ancient creation, not gone, just distant, still alive somewhere in the folds of time's geometry. You reach out, and the memory ripples, rings of light spreading outward like circles on a pond. Each one intersects with others, and where they cross, new moments are born. Cause and effect, motion and consequence, nothing ever truly separate. The physicists call this the block universe. In it, every event, past, present, and future, exists at once, like pages of a book already written. You are simply moving your consciousness from one page to the next. The book itself is complete, the story eternal, and yet, you can choose how you read it. You pause there, feeling the beauty of that paradox. If time is already written, then free will becomes something else, not the power to change what happens, but the power to see it differently, to find meaning, to create peace, to move gently through the geometry instead of fighting against it. You breathe out. For the first time, you feel what timelessness means. Not endlessness, but stillness. A moment so whole that nothing needs to move anymore. The geometry glows softly around you now. Golden spirals fade into deep blue curves. Every line hums quietly, and the hum feels familiar, the same frequency you heard in the music of the stars. It's all connected, space, time, sound, being. You begin to sense a rhythm, a pattern repeating in all things. Expansion, contraction, creation, dissolution, awakening, rest. It's the same rhythm as breath, the same pattern as sleep. You realize that even sleep is a geometry, a fold in consciousness where time bends inward, allowing the mind to touch the eternal. Dreams are the bridges that connect your waking world to this hidden landscape. And right now, you are walking one of those bridges. You feel lighter, not just in body, but in meaning, as if gravity itself respects your stillness and lets you drift. The universe continues to spiral gently around you, but you no longer need to chase it. You exist exactly where you are meant to be, inside this moment, inside this breath, inside this shape of time that was drawn just for you. The geometry begins to fade, not vanish, but dissolve into simplicity. Light becomes softer, edges blur. You feel as though you are standing on the threshold between being and non-being, and yet it's peaceful. You aren't leaving time. You are simply resting within it. A thought arrives quietly, like a whisper from the stars you left behind. If time is a spiral, then perhaps eternity is its center. You drift toward that center now. The closer you come, the slower everything feels, until motion itself becomes silence. There is no before, no after, only presence, infinite, unbroken. And within that presence, you sense something vast and gentle, a pulse, like the universe's own heartbeat. It's not something you can measure. You can only feel it. You breathe with it, matching its rhythm without effort. For a moment, maybe for eternity, you and time are the same. The geometry shimmers once more, a final ripple across the fabric of existence. And in that ripple, you sense the next mystery waiting just beyond this moment. Something even time cannot contain. A mystery not of stars, not of space, but of consciousness itself. You let the thought hover, soft as the light of a distant dawn. The spiral begins to unwind, carrying you forward, toward the next horizon of knowing. The silence deepens, the stars grow still, and time, for now, sleeps. Asterisk. You are still drifting, still wrapped in the echo of starlight, when you begin to feel something shift. It's subtle at first, like a soft pull beneath the surface of thought. The stars no longer seem still. They stretch and bend, their light curving gently, as though space itself is breathing. And then, slowly, you realize you are no longer floating through space, you are floating through time. It doesn't rush or move like a river. It's quieter than that. It unfolds layer upon layer, a silent geometry so intricate that even light itself bends to follow its curves. You begin to see it, not as a clock, not as ticking seconds, but as something woven like threads of invisible silk connecting every event, every thought, every heartbeat. Time has texture. It ripples, folds, and stretches like fabric touched by wind. Einstein once imagined it this way, not as something that passes, but as something that is. A field, a living map, a landscape of existence where past, present, and future are not separated, but connected like peaks in a single mountain range. You drift across its surface now, watching moments shimmer beneath you like glowing constellations. Each point of light, a memory, each curve, a change, a cause, an effect. Every choice, every motion, creates a wave that moves through this vast ocean of being. You wonder if time has a direction, if it truly flows, or if flow is just how your mind perceives it, like a traveler walking through still air and feeling wind on their face. Perhaps time isn't moving at all. Perhaps you are, you think of your life, of the days that felt endless and the moments that vanished too quickly. How strange it is that time stretches and shrinks depending on how the heart feels. 1 minute of joy can pass like a breath, while a minute of sorrow can weigh like stone. Science calls this subjective time, but you know it as something more. Personal, the music of experience itself, changing tempo with emotion. Inside your brain, billions of neurons fire in rhythmic waves. They are your inner clock, oscillating, pulsing, counting the beat of existence. But even this rhythm can bend. Meditation slows it. Anxiety speeds it. Sleep dissolves it completely. And as you drift deeper into this story, you begin to feel your own sense of time dissolve, melting into the infinite calm of the universe's larger rhythm. You are no longer counting seconds. You are part of something timeless. Imagine now that you can see the shape of time itself, not as a straight line, but as a spiral. It curves around itself, looping through dimensions unseen. In ancient cultures, spirals were sacred symbols of birth, growth, decay, and rebirth. They understood something profound, that time is not just movement forward, but expansion, outward and inward at once. Your breath becomes the proof. Each inhale, the universe expanding. Each exhale, the universe returning to its center. You are both inside and outside of time, both the clock and the moment it measures. In the distant dark, a faint shimmer catches your attention, a slow rotation, like a whirlpool of light. You drift closer, and you realize it's a galaxy, its arms spiraling through eternity like a cosmic clock. Each turn takes millions of years, yet from far away it moves gracefully, effortlessly, as though it's always been dancing. And maybe it has. You begin to see the pattern. Everything that moves follows geometry. The orbits of planets, the spirals of shells, the curves of galaxies, all whispering the same truth. Time is written in shapes. It doesn't just pass, it forms. If you could slow everything down, if you could watch the universe one frame at a time, you'd see that time leaves a trail wherever it goes. A bird in flight, a wave rolling to shore, a thought rising in your mind. Each one carves a pattern into the geometry of existence, like invisible calligraphy written across the air. This geometry isn't random. It obeys a hidden rhythm, a symmetry so subtle that even chaos follows its rule. Fractals, Fibonacci spirals, golden ratios, they appear everywhere, from the swirl of galaxies to the veins in a leaf. It's as if time itself prefers beauty. And you realize something. You are not a traveler through time. You are a shape in time. Your every motion, every thought, is part of this geometry, a line drawn briefly across the great spiral. The ancient Greeks called it chronos, the measurable time, and kairos, the right sacred time, the moment that feels destined, aligned, meaningful. Science measures chronos, but the soul feels kairos. It's the difference between a clock ticking and a heart remembering. You think about memory now, how it doesn't fade linearly. It folds, overlaps, like ripples meeting on water. Moments, long gone, can return in an instant. A smell, a sound, a certain kind of light, and you are suddenly both then and now. Perhaps memory is proof that time doesn't vanish. It just rearranges itself, turns inward, waiting to be felt again. You pass through one of those memories now, not your own, but the universe's, a cosmic archive of what once was. Nebulae, blooming like flowers, comets carving their paths, dust clouds birthing stars. You can feel the echo of ancient creation, not gone, just distant, still alive somewhere in the folds of time's geometry. You reach out, and the memory ripples, rings of light spreading outward like circles on a pond. Each one intersects with others, and where they cross, new moments are born. Cause and effect, motion and consequence. Nothing ever truly separate. The physicists call this the block universe. In it, every event, past, present, and future, exists at once, like pages of a book already written. You are simply moving your consciousness from one page to the next. The book itself is complete, the story eternal, and yet you can choose how you read it. You pause there, feeling the beauty of that paradox. If time is already written, then free will becomes something else, not the power to change what happens, but the power to see it differently, to find meaning, to create peace, to move gently through the geometry instead of fighting against it. You breathe out. For the first time, you feel what timelessness means, not endlessness, but stillness, a moment so whole that nothing needs to move anymore. The geometry glows softly around you now. Golden spirals fade into deep blue curves. Every line hums quietly, and the hum feels familiar, the same frequency you heard in the music of the stars. It's all connected. Space, time, sound, being. You begin to sense a rhythm, a pattern repeating in all things. Expansion, contraction, creation, dissolution, awakening, rest. It's the same rhythm as breath, the same pattern as sleep. You realize that even sleep is a geometry, a fold. In consciousness, where time bends inward, allowing the mind to touch the eternal. Dreams are the bridges that connect your waking world to this hidden landscape. And right now, you are walking one of those bridges. You feel lighter, not just in body, but in meaning, as if gravity itself respects your stillness and lets you drift. The universe continues to spiral gently around you, but you no longer need to chase it. You exist exactly where you are meant to be, inside this moment, inside this breath, inside this shape of time that was drawn just for you. The geometry begins to fade, not vanish, but dissolve into simplicity. Light becomes softer, edges blur. You feel as though you were standing on the threshold between being and non-being, and yet it's peaceful. You aren't leaving time. You are simply resting within it. A thought arrives quietly, like a whisper, from the stars you left behind. If time is a spiral, then perhaps eternity is its center. You drift toward that center now. The closer you come, the slower everything feels, until motion itself becomes silence. There is no before, no after, only presence, infinite, unbroken. And within that presence, you sense something vast and gentle, a pulse like the universe's own heartbeat. It's not something you can measure, you can only feel it. You breathe with it, matching its rhythm without effort. For a moment, maybe for eternity, you and time are the same. The geometry shimmers once more, a final ripple across the fabric of existence. And in that ripple, you sense the next mystery waiting just beyond this moment. Something even time cannot contain. A mystery not of stars, not of space, but of consciousness itself. You let the thought hover, soft as the light of a distant dawn. The spiral begins to unwind, carrying you forward, toward the next horizon of knowing. The silence deepens, the stars grow still, and time, for now, sleeps, asterisk. The dream of the universe begins to dissolve. Colors fade to deep indigo, then to soft, infinite black. You are no longer moving through light or thought. You are floating in stillness. It is quiet here, beyond words, beyond sound. At first, the silence feels like absence. But slowly, you realize it is presence. This isn't emptiness. It's something deeper, the space where everything rests. You breathe, and even your breath seems to echo across it. Each inhale feels like creation. Each exhale feels like release. In this vast silence, you become aware of how small you are, and yet, how completely you belong. Between the stars, there is nothing, and everything. You imagine the night sky again, the way it looks when you lie awake on a quiet night, watching the stars appear one by one. Between those points of light lies the darkness, the great unlit sea that fills almost all of existence. Scientists call it interstellar space, a thin ocean of dust, radiation, and invisible energy. But here, in this quiet moment, it feels like something else entirely, a kind of cosmic breath, a pause between heartbeats. You float there now, in the hush that lives between galaxies. No planets spin here, no suns burn, and yet the darkness hums faintly, as though whispering its own quiet song. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the background against which sound exists. And this silence, this stillness between stars, is the canvas upon which the universe paints its story. If you listen carefully, you can almost hear the pulse beneath it, the soft vibration of the cosmic background radiation, the leftover hum of the Big Bang itself. It is ancient beyond comprehension, a memory older than time. Still echoing softly through the dark dot, in that hum lives the first whisper of everything. It's faint, barely there, like the slow breathing of a sleeper who has drifted deep into rest. You realize then, silence isn't the opposite of sound. It's the space that allows sound to exist, just as darkness allows light to be seen. Without it, there would be no stars, no music, no voice, no thought. Everything begins in silence. Your mind follows this thought gently, like a leaf carried by slow-moving water. You think of your own moments of silence, the times when you turned inward, when words weren't enough, and stillness became the only language that made sense. Silence, you realize, has always been sacred. Monks seek it in caves, poets in forests, lovers in the pauses between words. It is the same silence you find in deep sleep, a soft erasure of noise, where the self dissolves for a while, and the soul is allowed to rest. You drift deeper now, past the last traces of starlight. The blackness becomes thicker, almost tangible, as though you could touch it. Out here, the nearest atom might be miles away from the next. The temperature drops near absolute zero. There is no air, no sound, no motion. Yet something persists. Even here, in what appears to be nothing, quantum fields tremble. Tiny particles flicker into existence and vanish again, a ceaseless whisper beneath the silence. This is called quantum fluctuation, the soft, restless breath of reality itself. From that trembling vacuum, entire universes could, in theory, be born. Silence, it seems, is not empty. It's full of potential. You close your eyes and imagine it, a dark ocean, still as glass, and yet beneath its surface, ripples forming, tiny storms of possibility gathering quietly. In the human mind, silence does the same thing. When you sit in stillness long enough, thoughts begin to rise like bubbles from the depths. Some are memories, some are dreams, some are fragments of truth that can only surface when noise is gone. The universe meditates in the same way. Each pause between creation is a moment of deep reflection, a space where the next great burst of existence can form. You drift through the dark and begin to notice faint glimmers ahead. Not bright stars, but distant halos, the faint light of galaxies. So far away, their glow has traveled billions of years to reach you. Their light moves through the silence, like whispers through a cathedral. Each beam tells a story of birth, of collapse, of transformation. They flicker softly, like candles in a cosmic chapel, and in that stillness, you realize something profound. Without the silence between them, their light would lose meaning. Every symphony needs its rests. Every heartbeat needs the pause before the next. Every life needs quiet between its chapters. You begin to understand silence, not as emptiness, but as rhythm. The universe moves in waves, expansion and rest, sound and stillness, being and becoming. Even stars follow this rhythm. They live, they burn, they fade, and then their remnants feed the birth of new light. The silence between them is the breath that allows the next creation to unfold. You drift closer to one such remnant, a white dwarf star. It no longer burns, but glows faintly with residual warmth, like the last ember of a dying fire. Around it is quiet, a stillness so deep that even time feels slow. Here, the silence has a sound of its own, a low hum that isn't heard, but felt. You imagine what it must be like to rest like that, to have spent your fire, to have given all your light, and now simply to be, glowing softly in the infinite night. There's peace in that thought, because even after the brightest flame fades, its warmth lingers in memory, in space. In silence, your mind drifts to earth again, a tiny blue world suspended in that same cosmic quiet. You picture the nights there, how silence wraps around forests and oceans, how sleep covers cities like mist, and though the universe may seem vast and indifferent, this same silence lives in you. Inside your chest, between two heartbeats, there is a pause, a still moment when everything stops, and yet life continues. That pause is sacred. It is your connection to the infinite. You breathe in creation. You breathe out return. Each breath becomes a mirror of the cosmos. Inhale, expansion. Exhale, rest. You are part of the same pattern. When you lie in bed at night, and the world outside finally grows quiet, that's when you feel it most. The hum of stillness beneath everything. It isn't loneliness. It's belonging. You are swimming in the same silence that stretches between stars. This silence heals. It doesn't demand. It doesn't judge. It simply holds you like gravity, like night, like sleep. You begin to drift deeper again. The silence becomes thicker, almost warm. You can feel it wrapping around your thoughts, softening their edges. There is a peace here that language cannot hold, the peace of being part of something endless, yet perfectly still. You think of how scientists once believed space was completely empty, a true void. But now we know even emptiness is alive. Dark energy hums through it, guiding the expansion of the cosmos. It is invisible, and yet it moves everything. Silence, too, moves you. It draws you inward, toward understanding. You realize that perhaps every being, every planet, every atom is learning the same lesson in its own way. That stillness is not the opposite of life, but its foundation. In the silence between stars, everything listens. And in that listening, the universe remembers itself. You can feel that memory stirring in you now, a deep recognition. You are not separate from the cosmos. You are made of the same pauses, the same quiet rhythm, the same breath of space. As your awareness softens, you begin to hear something new, a sound so faint it feels like a feeling rather than a tone. The heartbeat of the universe itself. It's slow, steady, endless. You listen to it and realize it matches your own. Two rhythms, one song. For a long moment, you simply float there in perfect synchrony with everything. The silence no longer feels vast or distant. It feels close, a companion, a teacher, a mirror. You understand now why stars are born, why galaxies spiral, why atoms dance. Because even in silence, there is longing, a desire to express, to shine, to exist. You smile softly, not with your lips, but with your being. The silence between stars is not empty space. It's the heartbeat between moments, the waiting breath before the next act of creation. And as you drift deeper into it, you feel the next pulse forming. A shift, subtle but sure, the promise of something new stirring at the edge of the dark. It's faint at first, like a ripple on calm water. Then, slowly, it gathers light. You can sense energy beginning to return, gentle, deliberate, alive. The silence is about to speak again. But before it does, You rest a moment longer in its arms, grateful for the peace, the clarity, the stillness. You understand now that silence is not an end. It's the turning of the page. Your breathing slows. Your body feels lighter. You let go of thought and drift into the infinite hush that holds all beginnings within it. And just as the silence reaches its deepest point, a flicker appears, a thread of golden light, emerging softly from the darkness. You watch it with quiet wonder, knowing that what follows this stillness is not destruction, but renewal. The universe inhales once more. The silence gives way to motion, and somewhere beyond this calm, the next mystery begins to awaken. Asterisk. The silence stretches on, but somewhere deep within it, a shimmer begins to form. It's delicate at first, a single line of gold through the dark. Like the first breath after sleep, you float near it, weightless, your body still wrapped in the stillness between stars. Then, slowly, the light unfolds, not as a beam or explosion, but as a memory awakening. This is where everything begins again. The silence you just left behind wasn't emptiness. It was listening, a pause so deep that creation itself could hear its own echo. And now, from that infinite quiet, light returns. You watch it rise, soft and sure, like dawn spreading across an eternal horizon. The glow is not harsh or blinding. It's warm, gentle, a golden whisper reminding you of something you once knew but somehow forgot. Light remembers, always. Every photon carries within it a memory of the place it was born, from the heart of a star, from the collapse of a sun, from the very first spark that marked the birth of time. It travels endlessly, never tiring, never aging. A beam of light leaving a distant galaxy today may not reach another soul for billions of years, and yet it keeps moving, faithful to its origin. You drift closer to that glow now, and it feels like being held. The warmth seeps through you, not heat, but remembrance. You realize this light, too, is part of you. It has always been part of you. Every atom in your body was once illuminated by ancient light. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, forged in the furnace of stars. Their light lives on in you, woven into your pulse. When light remembers its source, it doesn't travel backward. It shines forward, carrying the story of creation into every new moment. And in the same way, you too are remembering. You remember that you are not separate from the universe. You are not merely looking at the stars. You are made of their memory. You are light slowed down, given form, given breath. This thought comes softly, without effort. It doesn't demand to be understood, only felt. You close your eyes and see light behind your eyelids. It pulses gently, a soft rhythm matching your heartbeat. It feels familiar, like home. You realize that light is not only what you see, it is also what you are. Every emotion, every thought, every act of kindness is a form of illumination. When you love, you shine. When you forgive, you lighten. When you rest, you reflect the calm brilliance of the cosmos itself. Light has no shadow within itself. Only when it meets something solid does it cast one. The darkness in your life, the fears, the grief, the quiet ache of uncertainty are not the absence of light. They are signs that light is near, meeting resistance, seeking passage. You breathe in. The air feels brighter somehow, as though each inhale fills you with tiny suns. You breathe out and imagine releasing old shadows, letting them dissolve back into the quiet beyond you. You feel yourself glowing faintly, not in a way that others could see, but in the way you feel from within when peace begins to form again. In this deep state of stillness, you begin to remember the journey that brought you here, the long drift through mystery, through the whispers of atoms, through the pulse of planets, through the silence between stars. Every chapter of the cosmos has led to this one, where light once again recognizes itself. You look around and notice that the golden shimmer has expanded. It fills the void like sunrise across an endless sea. The darkness doesn't vanish, it softens, turns translucent, becoming a partner rather than an enemy, because without darkness, light would have nothing to reveal itself against. You remember what the physicists say, that photons move at the only speed the universe allows, the cosmic speed limit. They are timeless. For them, there is no before or after. The moment they are born, they also arrive. They exist outside the flow we call time. And perhaps that's what remembering means, to see all moments at once. To know that nothing is ever truly lost. Everything that was light once remains light forever. You realize that this truth applies to you, too. The parts of you that shone once your laughter, your wonder, your kindness, are still shining somewhere, still traveling outward through the people you touched, the words you spoke, the thoughts you shared. Energy never disappears. It only changes form. You are part of that endless transformation, one wave in a sea of light, rising and falling, never ceasing. You begin to feel a sense of gratitude, not for anything specific, but for the vastness that allows you to exist at all. The universe didn't need to make you, and yet it did. It gathered dust from dying stars, wove it into matter, and breathed life into it. You are the echo of that breath, still moving, still glowing, still remembering. There's a peace in knowing that your existence is both a gift and a continuation, a chapter written by forces older than time. You think of light traveling through the void, how it never questions its path. It doesn't wonder if it will reach its destination. It simply goes, trusting the space between. Maybe that's what faith really is, not belief without proof, but movement without fear. Trusting that the darkness ahead is not the end, but part of the journey home. The light around you grows warmer now. It shimmers through your hands, your chest, your eyes. It's as though you are dissolving into it, not disappearing, but merging. You feel no urgency, no separation, just expansion, just peace. In this moment, you understand that illumination is not something you chase. It's something you remember. It was always there, beneath thought, beneath time, beneath every heartbeat. You think of the first light, the cosmic dawn, when the universe cooled enough for stars to form. That same light, those same particles, still move through everything today. They pass through your skin, your breath, your dreams. Every photon is a messenger, a silent traveler carrying news of eternity. When you close your eyes at night and drift toward sleep, you join them. You, too, become a traveler, not through space, but through consciousness. You move through your own inner cosmos, where memory and light meet and blur. You are both observer and participant, the dreamer and the dream. And perhaps that's what it means to truly awaken, to see that the light you search for has been within you all along. You rest in that realization, letting it sink deeper. Each breath becomes slower, more deliberate. Your body feels weightless, like mist warmed by sunlight. You can feel the universe breathing with you. Its pulse and yours are one now. The stars outside, they flicker, not because they waver, but because their light passes through shifting layers of space and time. Just as your thoughts ripple through layers of self-clarity, confusion, memory, peace. Yet beneath all those movements, there is a still center, unchanging, luminous. That is your true self. That is your source. You rest there now, not reaching, not seeking, just remembering. Light remembers its source, not through effort, but through stillness. It returns home simply by being what it is, and, as you rest, you begin to feel yourself returning to your own source, your own origin. It's not a place. It's not even a time. It's a knowing that you are made of the same brightness that began everything. That you are, and always have been, a fragment of eternity given voice for a little while. You smile softly. Your journey through science, through silence, through stars and atoms, has not led you away from yourself. It has brought you back to light, back to peace, back to the quiet brilliance of simply being. The glow around you begins to fade, not because it's ending, but because it's blending. You realize it was never outside you at all. It was within you, waiting for you to see it clearly again. You are ready to rest now. The story doesn't end here. It simply returns to stillness. As you drift toward sleep, the light continues to hum softly inside you, a memory of creation that never fades. And somewhere, across the vast, silent sea of stars, the universe turns another page. Its light expands, its silence breathes, and in that endless rhythm, you continue as both listener and light. Asterisk.